Somebody needs to speak. We'd like to have a speaker's card. Of course, that would be under participation in the public. We'll be starting in just a minute.
Daniel, Mickey should mute her microphone, except for when she's talking. Thank you, Mickey.
Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. City of Cape Canaveral Council meeting. We're holding a special meeting this afternoon. Let's join me in the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here. Our first order is call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Mayor Hove.
Here.
Councilmember Kellum.
Here.
Councilmember
Here.
Morrison.
Okay, we have
Mayor Pro Tem Raymond.
Here.
Thank you.
we have two people by virtual today, so Mr. Morrison and Mrs. Kellum. Okay, our first item is public discussion. Anybody care to speak on something other than what's on our agenda? Hearing none, we'll close public discussion and bring up the discussion item. The discussion item is a special meeting for this election coming up. We had two council people resign and run for city council mayor. So Mr. Garganese, do you want to just take the lead on?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Okay, so this is deja vu again. The same exact situation happened in 2015. This year, two of our current council members, Mr. Brown and Morrison, have resigned to run. So their resignations letters note that their resignation date is prospective to November 16. November 16 is the date in which the new mayor will be sworn in. And as a result, come November 16th, 2021, if the city council does nothing today, there will be two vacancies that are created on that date to fill the unexpired terms of Councilman Brown and Councilman Morrison. One of those terms is 2 years and the other is 1 year. Pursuant to the city charter, as I noted in 2015, once a vacancy actually occurs, the council under charter has 90 days in which to fill the vacancy by appointment. That appointment is temporary. What I mean by that is the appointment is only good until the next general election. Under the circumstances, given that the resignations that were submitted are 10 days, were 10 days prior to qualifying for the mayoral seat, it creates, there's an intervening general election, the mayoral election. And that, as stated in the ordinance and the opinion letter in 2015, it was my opinion that there is legal authority to support a determination by council to direct that a special election be held to give the voters the right to choose who will fill the unexpired terms of the two council members come November 16th. There is this intervening general election. That intervening general election is the mayoral election. The qualifying period starts in, I think, 6 days on August 2nd, I believe. If the council is inclined to declare an intervening general election and direct that a special election occur, the council needs to do that expeditiously because a lot needs to be done to advertise the special election and to commence a qualifying period that starts in 6 days. So time is of the essence in that regard. Whether or not, again, the simple decision, I think, if you boil it down, is does the city council want to give the citizens of Cape Canaveral the right to choose who is going to serve the unexpired terms of Councilman Morrison and Brown come November 16th. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, it's up to you, council, and to our virtual attendees, what we're going to do. You want to start, Andrew?
I'll start in. I feel that we should have the election of the mayor and the two council people, because I believe that the residents should choose their representatives. And I think that's the democratic way, and I think that's what we want to do in the city of Cape Canaveral. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
I agree. I filled a vacant spot and had to basically run on short notice. I think the citizens are entitled to select their candidate and vote on their candidate of choice. So I would like to put this ordinance before not ordinance, I'd like to put the two vacant seats before the citizens of Cape Canaveral.
Okay. Mickey, I see you out there. Is Wes on board with us?
I believe so, yes.
Is he on board? Okay. Mickey, I see you there. You want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just had a question for Anthony. If someone doesn't run for the two vacant seats, what happens then?
Well, there'll be two seats that are up for special election if that's what the council decides. If there aren't a sufficient number of candidates, let's say no one qualifies to run, or just one person qualifies to run, then come November 16th, there will be a vacancy on the city council. And the council at that time, the new council, would have an opportunity to appoint somebody to fill the vacancy.
Okay. Okay, I agree. I think it should be up to the citizens to decide who they want in those seats and, represent their thoughts. And I think that we should adopt this ordinance 342021. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mickey. Wes?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. So yes, I support this emergency ordinance as well. I agree with everything the council has said so far. I do have a couple of questions. Anthony, the first one for you is, why is this an emergency ordinance? Can you explain why we went that route?
Right. Well, for the city council to call a special election and establish that doesn't, is a special election because there's no election scheduled to fill, two council seats this year. So in order to call a special election and establish qualifying periods for this special election, my opinion is the city council should do an emergency ordinance, because the emergency ordinance establishes, one, the election, two, the ground rules under which that election will occur. So, also in my view, this requires immediate action by the council, extraordinary action by the council, because as I mentioned before, time is of the essence, Councilman. Qualifying starts the 2nd of August for the mayoral seat. And it's my understanding that Supervisor of Elections has advised the city clerk's office that the list of candidates needs to be presented August 16th? Monday, August 16th. So that's the time frame that you're working under. And this certainly affects the life, health, and well-being of the citizens of Cape Canaveral. So that's my thought about it.
Got it. Thank you. And is there any shelf life, for lack of better words? Does this expire at some point?
City Cape Canaveral has a provision in its charter that states that emergency ordinances are good for 60 days, but they can be reenacted and continue. So this ordinance does have like a 60-day time period initially. And that's language has been incorporated into Section 7 effective date of the ordinance to address that specific provision in the city charter. Otherwise, there's no statutory limit regarding how long an emergency ordinance can be in place.
Got it. So is that 60-day life going to cause any issues, or is that enough time?
Well, I think it's that's what the charter says. I think it's enough time, gets the city through qualifying, gets the advertisement of the special election started. And then the way I worded the effective date, it's automatically reenacted for a period of time to certify the actual results of the general election. You know, for all intents and purposes, the actions that are required to conduct the special election through qualifying, providing the list of candidates to the supervisor of elections is going to be done within the first 60 days of the enactment of this ordinance.
Thank you. That makes sense. A couple of small things that jumped out at me on edits throughout the document. This is very small and insignificant, but council member, I don't know if that's typed out correctly wherever you see it. Guess we can go to page 5 of 7 in the ordinance and look at like line number 6, 5 of 7. And so in here, it looks like we got a typo where it says Mayor Pro Tem Mike Brown. Maybe that was because the old ordinance, since this is deja vu. I think that at the time Mayor Hogue was Mayor Pro Tem. And so anyways, I think that needs to be fixed. And
that's my oversight. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's and then council member, that might be spelt incorrectly. I think it's 2 words. That's throughout the document, but that's not significant other than the Mayor Pro Tem issue. And it says, I'm trying to find it. I had it wrote down. Where it talks about 2 weeks. It talks about the qualifying period for the election is currently scheduled to commence on Friday. Okay, so if we go to page 1 of 7, line 31. Sorry to jump you around there, Daniel. Yeah, line 31. The qualifying period for the election of mayor is currently scheduled to commence on Friday, August 2nd, and shall continue for a 2-week period. That might be confusing because doesn't it end until end on August 13th? And so.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. That's we'll fix that. It's not exactly a 2-week time period. It's less than that.
Yeah, so whatever needs to happen there.
Got it.
And that is it. Those are my only comments. But yes, I support this ordinance and give the people, the citizens, the registered voters of Cape Canaveral a chance to select who their representatives will be. So thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Yes, ma'am.
just to clarify. I thought that the qualifying period ended August 16th. No. Okay, thank you.
Friday.
That's the
on
date.
Fridays.
Thank
That's
you.
the date the supervisor of election has to have the names by.
Okay, thank you.
We're good. Hey, anybody else have anything? Mike? I just right from the very get-go, I believe in just letting the people elect. So I have no discussion on doing this or that. We'll hold the election. The candidates will qualify for running. If we don't have them, we'll have to deal with that after the election. So other than that, does anybody want to make a mention? Yes, sir. Oh. Yeah, we do, yeah.
Just for more complete information, are most of the resignation letters, I think it will be be upheld, or if one of the particular council members wins, one loses, who gets to take a seat. So there will be two seats left.
I've decided nothing other than let the electors elect the mayor and two council seats.
Okay, now we're going to have one, so the person getting the most.
Somebody needs to mute. I'm gonna answer that. You want me to answer that question? Yeah, so there's a chihuahua in attendance. The city code back in 2015, based on the experience of the city council, you may recall, they modified the code that when situations such as this occurred during the mayoral election where a council member resigns to run, there must be a separate ballot to fill the vacancies. So there's a separate ballot that's proposed in this ordinance to fill the two city council vacancies. And depending on how many candidates qualify, the top vote getter would get the 2-year term, and then the second highest vote getter would get a 1-year term. That's the way it's structured.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Well, we close public hearing. Anybody else? Close public hearing, come back.
What if, Anthony, the person who had the highest number of votes wants the 1-year term versus the 2-year term? Can they choose?
No.
Thank you.
Oh, and then if there's a tie, then there's a provision under statute to draw lots.
Okay.
That's in the ordinance as well.
Yeah, you were trying to talk. You want? Mickey, did you have something?
No, Anthony answered the question. I couldn't hear the gentleman that was speaking, but I heard the answer, so I'm good.
All right. Okay. Nothing else?
Yep,
There's no-
This is Councilmember Morrison.
Yeah.
Would
Go ahead, John. Or Wes?
I believe that was Mr. John Bond. I did not hear his question. I heard Anthony's reply. Can you summarize what he asked?
I think it was kind of multiple parts. One, it's an at-large election, and that was one part of the question. The other part of the question was whether one of the council members that resign would also get their seat if they lost the election. Would they be eligible to pick up one of the vacancies? And that's not the way it's structured because it's separate ballots. So those council members, including yourself, that resigned to run, if you choose to qualify for mayoral election, it's all or nothing on the mayoral election. And the vacancies would be filled by a separate election, and it's all or nothing based on different candidates.
Thank you. And my last question, Mr. Mayor, is if this council desires, seems like this is something that's likely to happen again in the future, especially as the charter says the mayor seat will open. I think resignations from existing council members is probable. If we are interested in maybe fixing or amending the charter to not have to go down this route again, that spells this process out, that's something maybe towards the end of the meeting I would like to see us consider an ordinance change.
Are you finished? Are you through?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I got you.
Since this is a special meeting, are you allowed to add an item or ordinance such as that or suggestion such as that when that's not something that's actually on
That
the,
has to be done later.
Yeah,
Right.
we can
Can't do it
note, we
today.
can note the comment and then it's something that you all can discuss at the next meeting. I think I know Councilman Morrison is suggesting, because this is the second time that this has come up. You know, the council may want to consider at another meeting whether it just wants to codify
right?
some of this in the city's election code. You know, the only caveat, of course, would be that the only way you could declare an intervening election is if there's adequate time to, you know, conduct a coinciding election with the regularly scheduled general election. But we can talk about that at another meeting, for sure. So what's that before you this evening? If there were no other council member comments or audience comments, you know, this is an emergency ordinance. It does require a 2/3 vote of the city council, which means there must be at least 4 council members voting in favor of this ordinance for it to pass. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, if we finish discussing, everybody, you understand later date, new ordinance or amend the ordinance, amend the charter? Daniel, you have anybody out there that, before I forget?
Not in the current setup that we have right now, but we do have some emails I can put up on the screen for everyone that we've received regarding this, if you'd like.
Okay, let's do that before we close. Make sure everybody's got their. That one just calls out for everybody, just the way we discussed. So basically that's up to the public. Go to the next one. Same thing there. Go to the next one. Approve the ordinance as written. Go to the next one. Same thing. Well, the short notice, we can't help it. That's law. We just. Okay, same thing.
And that is the last of the emails that we received regarding this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we saw them all. They're all in support basically of the election and support the ordinance. Okay, nothing else. We can adjourn.
Oh, I'd like to move,
Oh,
I'd like to make a motion.
Need a vote.
Okay, I'd like to, excuse me, I'd like to move in support of ordinance number 34-2021.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem and a second by Ms. Kellum. You call the roll, please.
Councilmember Brown,
4.
Mayor Hogue,
4.
Councilmember Kellum,
4.
Councilmember Morrison,
Or
Mayor Pro Tem Raymond.
4.
Okay, good luck to the candidates and to anybody who decides to file. Good luck. And we're adjourned.